Al Hawtrey and the Deaf Aids.
Sponsored by
Ditto.
in which Doris gets her oats.
It certainly does. Welcome to another review from MBE. I was about to say movie review. It's not a movie. It's a documentary.
Yeah, Steve,
it's
now what you
over
talk about that.
6 hours long, John.
Oh,
it's Peter
perfect.
Jackson's Get Back. This was taken from 56
Get back to
hours
where you once
worth
belonged.
of footage. So it's still not enough, Peter. We need more. We
do
really
need
do need more. We spent the whole weekend, John. Well, for me, it was Friday night, Saturday night, and Sunday night. That's why we were
For me, it was
delayed a
whenever
day.
it came out.
Yeah.
That night, the night
Yeah.
after, the night after.
We'd just like to welcome you in to our YouTube channel and, of course, our Twitch stream. Welcome on in, folks. We're going to be talking about this for the next wee while, as we like to see here in Scotland. And, John, this has been something we've been really looking forward to for the past 3-4 years now, since we've been covering this on Movie News and previously, before we were even on YouTube.
Huge Beatles
But
fans.
for a lot of people, this is a lifetime wait. You know, since the 69 Let It Be film came out and gave us a version, not a satisfactory version, but it was a version. We
The
got
Michael Lindsay
something.
Hogg version.
Yeah, and we got some stuff in the anthology as well back in '95. Some footage, you know, that was probably not used in the release that was released in the early '70s. But going into this, John, I was kind of concerned that this might be a bit of a McCartney tinted specs type documentary.
Yeah.
Need not worry.
No,
It's
it wasn't.
not like that at all.
No.
But I'm sure we'll get
Very
into
fair.
that as we get on with the review, John. I'm going to hand it over to you now anyway, and you can take us through this.
Steve, we'll not
review
do the usual
experience.
shite about grades and all that. We'll
No,
we'll grade
no,
at the end.
yeah.
I've already know my grade. And I think you'll know if you're watching how big a Beatles fan I am and Stephen is. You have a fair idea of what the grade's going to be. Stephen, we'll just get right into it. As you did say, a lot of people waiting a lifetime for this because it was 1969. It was 52 years ago, wasn't it? So that's a lifetime for some people. Not a lifetime for me. Sadly, I wasn't as obsessed with the Beatles in my entire life. We were just discussing that. I wasn't hugely aware of George Harrison when he passed away 20 years ago. You reminded me.
Yeah.
Today, 20 years, George has been away.
Yeah.
What a guy.
Yeah.
But for me, Stephen, it's been an ambition to see this movie for about 15 years, 12 years now, something like that. Because that's always been my favourite era. Last night when we did our little leading up video, I had to break out the Casino. That's always been my favourite, the Epiphone Casino. John Lennon's always been my favourite. I love the Hofner bass though. That Macca was determined to fucking use in this rehearsal.
He did, yeah.
Despite George Martin and Glyn Jones trying to push the Rickenbacker on him, which was
It
great
was
as
too
well,
heavy,
but it was getting out of tune and it was too fucking heavy.
Yeah.
Stephen, it's always been my favourite era. They've been matured, the pinnacle of their ability. They say that once we get together, we start playing, we can do it. We are better musicians than we were in the Cavern Club 10 years earlier or whatever. So it's always been my favourite era. The music, perhaps not as good as the Rubber Soul Revolver era, but I like the White Album and on. I just think there's some fucking great songs in there.
I think under circumstances, John, it worked out really well. Considering that it was built up from scratch.
Yeah,
you know?
and Stephen, that's what I'm
you
saying.
that?
Getting to see that, I'd never seen the original. I didn't really want to see it because I'd heard it painted in a negative light. So I was over the moon when I heard Peter Jackson was using the same team that worked on They Shall Not Grow Old to re-drive, to use a 60s, 70s word. This movie, 150 hours I think of footage, 60 hours of audio, something like that anyway.
Oh right, that was the audio, right.
Piecing all of that together to give us a more realistic take on what was actually happening in that fucking Twickenham, wasn't it? Was it Twickenham studio and then into the Savile Row homemade studio. I was looking forward to it, Stephen. It wasn't a lifetime's ambition to see it, but I tell you what, man, he fucking blew my mind more than I could ever have thought possible. Getting in to watch this, I thought, I'll see some of these things, I'll know most of it. Some of these things will be new. Stephen, 90% of this stuff I hadn't seen before, man. I'd heard the audio, I hadn't seen the footage associated with it, or if I had, it was black and white and it was grainy and terrible quality. So much so I didn't even know John Lennon was wearing a green Grandad t-shirt in these rehearsals, and it's effervescent, if that's even the right word. Ever present is the word I'm looking for throughout. So Stephen, it was fucking my ambition to see this for years, man. When I knew that he was remastering it, I just could not fucking wait. So that was my mindset going into this. I don't know what your mindset was. I think probably much the same.
Yeah, kept
I
counting
the days down, Stephen, till this came out.
John,
I knew
you
it was coming
had,
out.
you know, I've seen the original film, the Michael Lindsay Hogg one, years and years ago, before YouTube even got a hold of it. It was on YouTube for quite a while before it was pulled, but and all the other sequences as well, Rooftop and everything was
seen the
pulled
Rooftop,
from YouTube. But I'd seen it. I can't remember if it was VHS or whatever. And it was a very depressing experience, to be honest with you. You know,
you're really focusing on the discontentment and the fighting and the bickering.
I mean, that's director's choice. I can't really. That to me is like tabloid sort of
You
news.
expect better when you see his presence in the actual room with him. He's talking, he's friendly.
Yeah.
You'd expect him to pick
very
a
posh,
more balanced.
Yeah,
very posh.
Yep.
Yeah. Typical Englishman.
Yeah. But no, I mean, my expectations, John, I kept an open mind, because I knew Peter Jackson was in charge of this.
Yeah.
And the fact that
and a big Beatles fan.
Paul and Ringo and the estates of John Lennon and George Harrison permitted him access to the vaults, I knew we were in for something special, because him being a big Beatles fan as well, I've been watching him. He was on Colbert just the other day as well. All the stuff in the background. You knew he was a fan anyway, so this was like a lifetime ambition for him. In fact, Stephen Colbert actually said, who's a big Lord of the Rings fan, says that this is his new trilogy from Peter Jackson.
I never looked at it like that, but it is a trilogy.
Yeah.
Because they're basically movies.
Yeah. But I think, Peter Jackson, as humble as he is, isn't claiming this to be his trilogy, which is very nice of him to say.
He's created it, hasn't he?
He's had to, John, and it's those little details that I appreciate from Peter Jackson. You talked about the 60 hours of audio and piecing that together with the visuals and making it look natural, because there was no
audio to visual for the audio.
You kind of home in the mouth movement, and you go, that's really not what was getting said at that point.
And also, Steve, there'll be off-camera conversations, and the way he was using photography, little off-shot visuals,
back of the headshots.
Just again, like, they shall not grow old. They were painting in actual frames that didn't exist to make it a fluid image. He was kind of doing a similar thing in this with the team, obviously, but not painting it in. He was just using stock footage and images. And Stephen, it never felt jarring at any point.
No.
It felt natural.
A couple of continuity things going on, but you can only work with what you have,
And Stephen, look, we'll get into some of the points. I've wrote down a huge array of points that I think we should touch upon, but I think probably the most glaring one, and the one we need to discuss, as you say, as you've seen the original one, if I did, the rewriting of the narrative of this period, or these specific rehearsals, the making of this album, the building to this live show. Stephen, I never actually realised, and I've been a huge fan of the Beatles for fucking well over a decade now, obsessive for over a decade. I was aware of them when I was a kid, but never a huge fan, because I wasn't old enough to appreciate the brilliance, the genius. I wasn't aware of how short a schedule they had leading up to this show. It was like a fucking less than a month to put an album together from nothing. No wonder. There was bickering, and there was infighting, and there was arguing over digestive biscuits, which looked fucking amazing, but we'll get into that. They had such a short period to put an album together.
John, I think it was important they included those sort of diary graphics for us, the
layman,
really, because it really kept you focused on where they were at and how much they came through that week and what they'd done that week. I think actually they broke up the weeks into the parts, didn't they? It was like week 1, week 2, week 3. And I think maybe they were just a few days over schedule. I think due to weather as well, they were originally going to do the roof thing. But right up to the rooftop gig, they were still meeting about not wanting to do it.
Stephen,
it's crazy. I didn't know that.
That's another point, but we'll get into briefly before we actually speak about the rewriting of the narrative. How disorganised I thought watching it they were. Also, 3 of them were at varying degrees of disinterest. Macca, which I'm going to refer to Paul McCartney as, because that's his fucking nickname from here on, just it's Macca.
Paul Ramon, exactly.
Oh, Stephen, he says that at one point, doesn't he? Paul McCharmley or something like that. That was one of the very first things I think he says. How disorganised it was, Stephen. Macca was the only one that was really driving. He was, and I felt so sorry for him. The narrative about this time period, about this original film, was that he was a pain in the arse. He was pushing him about, bullying, trying to play boss. That isn't the case. He knew they had a tight schedule. They had to get it fucking done, and he was really trying to get the moving. And John, I couldn't believe how disorganised it was.
I think we were all guilty of that. Macca was portrayed as the villain in this the original documentary, for such a long time. We're talking 5 decades. But the thing is, once you see this version of events, you realise that
what are you, Stephen?
He's very, very vulnerable, which I know we'll get into, John, with certain scenes. But I think that had a lot to do with it. I think he was very insecure at the time. He sensed perhaps George isn't going to be around for much longer, and then later on, John doesn't turn up, and I think the shit's starting to hit the fan with Macca, and I think there's panic setting in his face. You can see it in the documentary.
What a moment that was!
It was, John.
Great vulnerability.
I know, but I think that it makes you understand where he's coming from. He's wanting to keep this together as long as he can. I think Paul McCartney, if he's honest with himself, and he probably has admitted this as well, I think if he could have got the other 3 to continue on, they would have went by 1970.
Yeah, they would have.
Because absolutely. I think he would have continued doing the band thing.
Yeah, absolutely, Stephen. I think he was a driving factor, and those last 3 albums, he was what kept the band together, because they've just had disbanded and off. Lennon was obviously doing what he was doing. I don't have to go through it. Anyone that knows will know. It was sidetracked, shall we say. He fucking speaks about it. He speaks about being high as a kite, staying up watching movies.
The first part, it was so disinterested, and it was very
unfocused.
Yeah, it was just not interested. The second part, I think it was putting, I don't want to say an act on, but it was certainly concerned about George not being there as well, and had to change his attitude as well.
I think the come to Jesus moment, the conversation that they captured via a hidden mic in a plant pot or something, when George had left and they were speaking about what we're going to do here, I thought that was a great conversation. I'd never heard it before. And you heard Lennon opening up to McCartney saying, look, you have been pushing about, you are being a bit of a boss, but look, it's not your fault. I understand what you're trying to do. You're trying to keep the band going. I can do it as well, but it's not. He wasn't surprised that George had left. But
Mac's retort surprised me much more. You've always been the boss.
You've always been the boss, and he's had to do it.
Yeah,
he's been second boss. But I think they realised why George had left. There was a bit of self-awareness why he'd buggered off to his, what was the name of that fucking estate, Friars?
I don't know if it was Heisher at the time, John. I can't remember.
Well, I think it was, because there was an image of it. There was an image of it. It was the same house. They understood Friars Park. I think they understood.
Would have been at that time. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, they understood why he'd left, Stephen. They could. I think they realised that there was discontentment, that he wanted to have his voice out. He'd matured. He was a little bit older now. George was always the baby of the band. He was like 25, 26 at this point. He was starting to come into his own.
John, it's ridiculous how young these guys were.
Stephen, look, I says that watching it because it just kept coming into my head. Lennon born 40, Ringo born 40. This was 1969, but it was early 69. Yeah. So Ringo and John would have been 28 years old.
Yeah.
They would have been late 20.
Yeah.
Mac would have been 26. George would have been 25. They were in the fucking. They were so young.
Yeah.
And to have such an incredible career, such success, and to be able to turn it like that. This is the end of their career as a Beatles team. But you could see it in the second part. The way they were able to turn a sort of creative flicker. The
other thing I got out of this documentary, John, was the fact that although it was mainly focused on the Let It Be album, we were getting glimpses of what would become the Abbey Road album as well. We were also getting the glimpse of All Things Must Pass, Imagine, and McCartney album, the first 3 solos, because we were getting a lot of that material as well. It showed the amount of material that was floating about from 3 of them.
Boy, didn't they?
Yeah, and Another Day.
All Things Must Pass, Another Day.
Yeah.
Stephen, I love that. I love hearing some of the
Jealous Guy in its first form.
Some of the
Road to Rishikesh.
The Road to Rishikesh, but it was also what was the other name for that?
Child of Nature.
Child of Nature. I'm just a child of nature.
Yeah.
Stephen, I love that. I love seeing songs that weren't to be, songs that were ultimately going to be soul stuff.
Yeah.
Starting to seep
John,
out.
You talk about disorganised. They didn't even have a name for Old Brown Shoe at the time.
No.
I can't remember what they called it. I think it was the first line of the.
They didn't have a name for anything, Stephen.
For You Blue was Hawaiian Blue, I think Lennon called it.
Yeah. Stephen, I loved that aspect of this. This is why I was so interested in seeing this, because as I said, it's one of my favourite eras, probably one of my favourite albums. I love most of the songs. There's some shite on there as well. Let's not kid ourselves. Dig it.
Maggie May.
Yeah. I like it. I can play it on the guitar. It's a nice little quick tune, and it's also the heartening them back to their childhoods. And
the only thing I like about Dig It is the mention of Matt Busby.
Matt Busby, Dig It. Oh, but Stephen, fucking, I'm getting down a rabbit hole with Maggie May now. I want to break the guitar out and play it. I just love that song. But there is some crap on there, but it's one of my favourite albums, Stephen, and getting to see them work out the songs. And I think one of the standout moments for me in this was Macca and An Hour of Need. I think George was away, Ringo was only there. No, George was there. I think it was Lennon that was fucking about again, away probably, doing what he was doing at that point. And he's screwing about in the bass, just dung.
This was in Twickenham, wasn't it?
He puts Get Back, the sort of foundation level of Get Back together in about a half an hour.
That's
fucking
fantastic.
about in his bass. One of the best songs from the Beatles catalogue, one of the most iconic songs. You could think maybe, I don't know, Steve, what would you think of when you think of the Beatles? I think Get Back's one of the songs you'd think of immediately.
I think it depends what you're.
Depends, you think maybe Strawberry Fields, Forever. Ticket to Ride. But from that era, it's Get Back. Yeah. He put it together in about 20 minutes, the foundation level.
When I was younger, so much. John, it was good to see them look back in their career as well. There was glimpses of them doing Love Me Do and Help and all that. You know, that they hadn't forgotten. They were reciting sort of Hamburg things as well, and it was great.
And Stephen, you speak about disorganisation. You speak about it being a little bit frantic, hectic. They didn't have enough songs. That gave them a chance, Mac and Lennon, to run through some of their old songs that hadn't maybe made it to earlier albums. I don't know. Maybe they'd made it, but they were rejigged. And they go through and they do one after 909 and stuff like that. And they do all these other songs. And that it gives them a chance to maybe fire in some familiar favourites and give them a new lease of life and get them on the album. I love One After Nine.
Yeah, I love that.
Someone says, I was talking to someone on Twitch about it the other night. They says it was shite. I fucking love One After Nine. It's a great song, and the way they bring it in.
I like the anthology version, the original version as well. It's got a good rhythm to it.
That's the very early Beatles stuff. It's like the beat music, and it's like down,
but
down,
that's
down,
a great
down,
version.
down. But that to bring that into,
I
was about to say the 21st century. It'd been the late 20th century. That will mid to late 20th century. I don't know.
Mid to
late, the fucking plot. It was nice to see that, and I liked the fact that out of this organisation could maybe harbour some fucking great songs. Stephen, I've got a couple of other things we're going to bring up.
Yeah.
Because we've got more points, and look, we don't want to get into points and be very structured here. We want to have it conversational, because we can speak about the Beatles all day anyway.
John,
but this particular fucking
John, we've
TV
been
show,
holding back for the last 3 days, not want to talk about it because we want to leave it till now.
Stephen, I've been losing hours to this, man. I've been trying to edit videos, and I'll watch 20 minutes and then I lose an hour.
But have you been doing the thing I've been doing as well, where after you've watched it, you think you can't stop thinking about it?
Yeah, absolutely.
I've been thinking about scenes, Stephen,
I've been thinking about songs. The songs have been in my head. I've thought of the Don't Let Me Down alternate backing. What is it? I'm trying to remember it. I'm in love for the first. It's the first time of my life. Something like that. It's just the backing. It's little things like that stick with me. Hearing these different incarnations of songs, man, I just think that's Stephen. I'm a great fan of putting film together, watching behind the scenes, how they put the CG together, how they build the sets, how they do the costume design. It's the same with music. And with this particular band, they're the greatest fucking band of all time. No one even comes close. Get your Radioheads to fuck, get your Led Zeppelins to fuck. They are pretenders. No one has put out a consistently brilliant fucking discography over a 10-year period like this fucking band. They are the greatest band of all time. They were rewriting
fucking. They were doing it 3 months later.
Yeah, exactly. They were in a more poorer fashion. Stephen, the Rolling Stones are there as well. They're in there in spirit.
Alan Parsons is there, John.
Because
Alan Parsons. Did you notice him?
No, I didn't.
It was a tape. Can't remember what his job was from the Alan Parsons project. Big name. I think he also worked with Pink Floyd.
Stephen, the actor as well. What was the actor? He passed away.
Peter Sellers.
Peter Sellers was in there. So awkward.
Yeah.
It was quite an awkward conversation.
It was.
But then you think of it, Stephen, and you think he was in his probably late 40s at that point. I searched his age up. These guys are in their 20s and they're superstars.
Yeah, it's a generation.
So it's a generational gap. There's that, but he's also
John,
a big
they were fans of Sellers, Harry Seacombe, and Spike Milligan, the Goons. Who George Martin. Obviously, that was one of his first gigs at Abbey Road. EMI, sorry, at the time.
That's how I imagine Elvis meeting to be. Quite awkward. I think so. There's a lot of respect in both sides, but there's quite a bit of awkwardness. Obviously,
Lennon
Elvis gets
a really funny story during that period, John. We were talking about it last night briefly, and it was so funny. It was so surreal. It had McCartney doing that sort of mad laughing as well. That kind of high pitched laugh he does.
I love it.
Yeah, it was just
Stephen
funny.
We're going off on tangents, and that's fucking good, because I'm going to go off on a tangent again. You speak about Lennon. This is a point we don't even have to fucking read off here. Lennon, Stephen, in this, he's quite a Jekyll and Hyde character at the start, as you did say. Quite absent.
Yeah, he was. Yeah.
Both in person and in mind, if you like. Very quiet, taking a seat back. There was lots of arguments and bickering. He's just sitting back and not really giving a fuck. And I think that wound McCartney up. At one point, he says, "Look, I'm always feeling like I'm annoying you, and I'm trying to do this, and I never get backed up. It's look there, he's doing it again." And he says, I know you agree with me. Like he says to Lennon, I know you agree with me, so going to fucking back me up here. But Lennon's sitting back. But the second half, Stephen, I don't know what happens. It may be that Harrison leaves and that puts a boot up his ass. But he seems to come. It's round about when Sellers comes in. And he's just looking at the camera. He's doing old school Lennon, the jokes. Doing like a monologue and looking right into the camera, telling jokes. Fucking hilarious. And from that point onwards,
life has changed in so many ways.
I walk bop a loop, bam boom. Fucking amazing, Stephen. I love the guy, and that's the reason I love him. He's got that sort of dry wit, that good Liverpudlian scouse fucking wit. They've all got it, and it really comes out in the second part of this. And he takes hold of it. He starts getting involved in songs. He's helping with words. What is it he says at one point for something? I think it is.
It's all things must pass.
All things must pass. What is it he says? Something, doesn't he?
A mind can blow those clouds away.
There was something else though. There was a word.
A wind can blow those clouds away, but Lennon changed it to mind.
Yeah, Steve.
It changes the whole.
Stephen, we'll get into that in a minute as well.
Structure of the song,
because there's a couple of moments like that. Even Glenn Jones does a moment at some point. But Stephen Lennon is absolutely brilliant. The second half of this trilogy, if you like, a documentary.
John is so comfortable in his own skin.
He is. And Stephen, you see it in the clothes.
Yeah.
He gets looser and looser and looser. He's coming in with suits at one point. Obviously, he goes back to the suits because that was the get up. But at one point, he's strolling in with a black t-shirt and bootcut jeans.
Yeah.
And he's chilled. He's in his happy place, and I think he realised he was starting to get it back. They were starting to get the rhythm. George says it at one point as well. When we start playing, I've not played this consistently day in, day out in a couple of years. We're starting to get really good. I think they started to enjoy it.
John,
and that all sort of coincided with Billy Preston coming in.
You've got to kind of take a back seat and remember the last 2 years prior to this was all about the Magical Mystery Tour, Sgt. Pepper, the White Album, going to India and all that kind of thing, making a film, Magical Mystery Tour as well. This was getting back to sort of the roots, you know, and I think that's where George Harrison's coming from.
Yeah, Stephen, there's so many moments. You mentioned India, the homemade film.
John, that was fantastic.
McCartney talking about the monkeys getting at it. Why don't we do it in the road?
All the intros from Mike Love was there, and
then obviously he's slagging Lennon off. It just wasn't you. I seen a photo of you walking with the Marahish, and he's like that.
About the helicopter,
he's doing like that.
Yeah,
it's fucking amazing, Stephen. Hearing the conversations, hearing the sort of them chatting the shit with each other, feeling like a fly in the wall at every point, feeling that you're there, you're part of it. That's one of my main takeaways. I just loved every moment. Ringo says a couple of days before it came out, they're 2 hours, or maybe a couple of months before it came out, to be fair, they're 2 hours long each. Some of them were nearly 3 hours long. I think the second part was 2 hours 40 odd minutes long. He says, get into a comfy piece of clothing and just sit back and watch it. Stephen, that's what it was like. I was settling down with a fucking chocolate bastard and donut and a cup of tea, Yorkshire, and just sitting and watching it and loving every fucking moment, Stephen. So that's my takeaway. If there's no other takeaway, and there is more, but my major takeaway is Peter Jackson allowing us to sit there with them for 6 hours, be involved in the conversations, be involved in the periphery figures, be involved in this music getting buffed. It was a special, Steve,
John,
for a Beatles fan.
Yeah, exactly. This, and it's not been like that since 1995 when the anthology came out. I remember watching every Sunday. I think it was 8 episodes. Might have been
Steve,
longer.
I would have loved to have been
but it was
awareness.
It was that kind of thing, John, where it was just indulge in what you're seeing and enjoy it. And as Ringo said, and you just said, get in your comfies, because this is going to be very interesting. It was very interesting, John. So much so that I'm going to be watching this again this week. I'm going to. It's going to become a new thing.
Steve, I says that to you before we come on. This is absolutely something that's got rewatchability. I can understand if you're not a huge Beatles fan, you may be one and done, watch it. It's interesting to you. But if you're a Beatles fanatic, this is fucking gold.
John, there's so much there that I've missed.
Yeah, I mean, I've blast through it, I mean, I have. There's been moments where I've been watching off screen doing something else and it's been on in the background, and I've maybe missed a couple of moments, and I need to go back and watch it. I think I need no excuse, Stephen. I'll go back and watch it because I fucking want to watch it. Yeah, plain and simple. And I said want there instead of want because that's the Scottish coming out of me. Stephen, you mentioned something there, and I've lost the fucking plot as to what it was. You did mention something there, and I can't remember. I was going to get back to it. It doesn't matter. Periphery figure, Stephen. Glenn Jones didn't you know who the fuck this guy was? I'd heard his name.
I knew the name, John, you're right.
I seen him. You nailed it. Kelly Murphy.
Yeah. See the big shades he was wearing, the big circular ones. Some
of his get-up was fucking great. He's some of the best dressed geezers in there with the periphery figures.
It's funny because they've all got that kind of George Martin vibe off them. They've all got that sort of school teacher vibe compared to the Beatles being the pupils. Yeah. And I think it's a class thing in England. And it's obviously spilled into these chaps as well. Michael Lindsay Hogg's the classic example. I thought George Martin was posh. This guy's...
He's even posher.
He was dressed in a 3-piece suit at one point. He looked like a banker.
And Ringo's farting next to him.
I'm so funny.
And he doesn't even open his mouth up because he doesn't dare. Stephen, I didn't get that with Glenn Jones. I thought he was a little bit more younger, more of their generation, and there was a kind of mutual admiration. He was getting involved. That's what I was going to say. You mentioned the little moment in All Things Must Pass, the bit of brilliance from Lennon. There were so many moments like that, Stephen. At one moment, Glenn Jones he's trying to arrange, I think it may be Let It Be, when the instruments are coming in. He's listening to it, and as a fan, he's like, that doesn't work, you're coming in together, it's all too busy. And he's giving them little tips, and Mac is saying, this is Glenn Jones that's doing it, he's telling us what to do now, he's arranging the fucking song, Joe. But Stephen, he was right. The way the instruments were coming in, that's the way it ended up being in the actual fucking
Don't
song.
interrupt the take, you bloody stars we are.
That was him, wasn't it?
That was him,
there's so many great moments with that guy, and I'm fucking, he's so cool looking, the hairdo, the get up, everything, the conversations he was getting involved in, he was sitting and watching them.
He's, as we know now, he's got a face, fuck face, as McCartney calls him. But John, you're absolutely right. You talk about Mal. I was just going to say, John, Mal Evans. I've always been intrigued by this guy because of all the stories I've heard about him through the Beatles. You know, he was the handyman. He always had a toolkit with him. You know, he was fixing mics. He was always getting sent out to do messages for them.
Buying a bow tie for George.
Yeah, he was just there all the time. The thing that I really wanted to see was this guy happy doing what he was doing? Fucking right, he was. He was loving life, John.
Wouldn't you be happy?
Yeah, and you know the thing we talked about last night, John. for anyone that doesn't know, Mal Evans passed away. I think 1976. He was shot dead by the LA police. A terrible situation, John, for such a lovely big guy. Stephen, 7 years after this.
It made no sense, Stephen. I think he had a manic episode or something. He may have... I don't know, Stephen. John, a lot of human beings can have those moments.
When the Beatles split, he went into a downward spiral. Yeah, he didn't have a function in life.
It's not like Neil Aspinall, where he was a sort of archivist. He was actively bringing everything together.
Court battles for
fighting court battles.
In 1970 right up to the 90s.
Yeah, so he was busy, Stephen. He had a purpose, and he ended up buffing the anthology. Yeah, and you had guys like fucking Derek Taylor.
He learned this, John. Surprisingly, but I think
Neil Aspinall's in it a brief, and he's out of
but I think he's too busy, John. I think he's too much on.
Stephen, that's what I'm saying.
He's dealing with the Hells Angels that ripped that turkey apart at Christmas. Do you remember that story?
Yes.
All Things Must Pass documentary.
They were fucking working, weren't they, with the Beatles when they went over?
Material World, living in a material world.
Were they working with the Beatles? They were the security when they went back over.
Yeah, but it was George fucking invited them to Savile Row. And they couldn't get rid of them.
Oh fuck, I can imagine. Stupid bastard at times, man. Some of these guys. You don't invite the Hells Angels anywhere, Stephen. They're bad news, man. Unless they're bodyguards when you've pissed off the Bible Belt. Stephen, Mal Evans, man, he had a manic episode. He ended up getting shot dead with the police. I think it was his girlfriend or something at the time stuck him in, and the poor bastard gets shot dead. And Stephen, it's so out of character. If you watch this, you realise he's a big, gentle giant. He's a dead calm and quiet person, and I cannot connect the dots with what happened to that guy and the person we see in this. And look, consistently everyone that was around him says that was the character he was. So a tragic figure, but beautiful to see him in this. This was the first time I'd really seen him. So happy to be involved in Maxwell Silverhammer with that sort of
Scouse accent, didn't he? Very deep voice. Yeah,
it was a cool fucking guy. Stephen, immaculately dressed, the glasses, playing with obviously what was it? It wasn't.
It was the anvil, wasn't it? Oh, yeah, sorry, he was playing the anvil, that was his instrument,
Yeah, the anvil was cool.
Heather,
Heather, I was about to say that, I wasn't sure though. Playing with her, you've seen that side of him. And Stephen, look, the Beatles as well, you've seen Lennon bouncing off a little Heather as well. Yeah. Having that little youthful edge.
I was surprised about.
Yeah, I was surprised as well. We heard the stories of John. So it was cool seeing them interacting.
Did you see the bit McCartney said, you're getting put back in your box?
Yeah, she was fucking singing and everything, man. She was getting tore in.
Brushing his hair. McCartney's hair in this
McCartney's
as well.
hair is a joke. Just fucking whipping it back.
Yeah.
When he was pissed off or he was having moments of, I don't know, reflection, he'd sweep the hair back and I'm like, you lucky bastard. Stephen, look, there's so many moments in this, man. The side characters are fascinating. Even George Martin's a fucking side character in this, and he feels jilted as well.
You Stephen, can sense that, John.
Yeah, he does come across a little bit abrasive, but hot at times. But Stephen, one of my favourite moments in this whole documentary features George just before the Rooftop Concert, the morning of it. They're starting to come in. He's Savile Row. He walks in the door. It tracks him going up the stairs, and he kind of stares at the camera, serious. And then it cuts away to the receptionist, cuts back to him, and he gives a little smile and walks off. I think that showed you the character. And look, half the time he was right. They were speaking about Magic Alex, the mad fucking eccentric technician.
Did you see that bass thing he brought in?
Oh, God. An absolute fucking clown, this guy. And George is saying, look, why are we listening to this
It's Lennon.
Just bring it back to fucking EMI. Bring it back to Abbey Road. And we'll do it there. I
loved that in the anthology when they were talking about that, you know, when they said they'd get Magic Alex in to build the studio. And George Martin, you know, I think he really enjoyed that feeling, you know. You could tell in his voice in the anthology when he was getting interviewed. He said he could do that, but he didn't. You know?
You get that in this thing, you get that consistently with George, but he's ever present, and he's obviously helping structuring things as well. He's helping with the PA system and Lennon saying put it up in the fucking ceiling.
I'll give him his due, John. He never really stood on Glyn Johns' toes at any point, you know, because Glyn Johns was part of the television production sound side of things as well, and he
done a great job, Steve, capturing that fucking audio. I think
sometimes that's what really muddied the waters for the Beatles' mindset. You know, they didn't really know, are we doing a TV special here? Is this part of the album? Is this separate? Are we doing the live show? Are we doing a... They just didn't know what they were doing, John.
Steve, that was a consistent thing. Are we doing a live show? Is it a TV show? Is it a movie? What the fuck's happening here? Where are we doing this live show? Fucking Discord. Are we going to Libya? Fuck, would you go to Libya? It's dangerous now. 50 years ago it would have been a fucking absolute death trap. You don't go to Libya. Are we going on a boat? Harrison vetoed that right away. I don't want to be spending fucking weeks with anybody. It's hard enough here. Steve,
all those people.
Steve, we talk about George and this. There's times where he can be a bit moany.
Yeah,
but absolutely fucking loved the guy.
I think he was trying to find his voice. He was in that situation. You know, sometimes it came across as an annoyance, but I kind of get where he's coming from. He's like the sort of annoying little brother, and I don't mean he is annoying. I just mean that kind of persona where he wants to be heard.
Yeah.
And there's times when you see it in McCartney's face, his facial expressions and his reaction was like, what? Because there was a point where he did say, you know, just like I did in the last album, I think it was a White Album at the time, you know, I got my platform, and I want to have that again. And McCartney's just looking at him as if he's fucking.
Yeah, but I've got to let it be the long and winding road. Get back. I've got a feeling.
Yeah.
So you're not getting any platform, George. It's about me. And it was about McCartney, to be fair. It was his album. It was his brainchild to this concept. Stephen, one thing we don't get, I'll get back to it at a moment I was going to say there. We don't get the shot you were talking about from the Anthology. I think you see it where he's speaking about what the cameras will sweep down here and they'll do this.
Yep.
You get to see that brilliance of McCartney, how far ahead of his time he
John,
was.
that's what
It was like fucking
MTV Unplugged, yeah.
It was. He was thinking about this 30 years earlier, 40 years earlier, which is incredible. So you see that brilliance, it wasn't there, sadly.
I'd love to have saw that kind of production from the Beatles, an unplugged session in the style of MTV.
Wouldn't it have been brilliant, Stephen?
Oh, amazing.
I mean, you kind of get it in this. It's kind of unplugged. They're bouncing off each other. Stephen, you speak about George. I think you're absolutely right. We were speaking about him. He did feel a little bit butthurt at times. And I think it's understandable. He was mature, and as I said, he was getting a bit older. He was wiser. He was presenting some fucking right good songs. All Things Must Pass. Something he was mucking about with that. He had some great ideas, and at times the older, or the two leaders, if you like, were overlooking
John, I think Eric Clapton had a lot to do with it as well. I think Eric was probably in his head, because I think, you know, Eric Clapton had been part of some of the big bands in England at the time as well,
Queen,
but he also saw himself as an individual, and I think that was probably rubbing off on George. He was very impressionable.
Oh, but Stephen, he kept going on about Eric, and it was really winding me up. It was riling me. I understand Eric Clapton's a great guitarist, slow hands, that's what they call him. It's a joke. His hands are fucking incredibly quick. He was a great guitarist. He does a bit for the Beatles, doesn't he? It's Let It Be. It's an alternate take. Stephen, I prefer George's.
He did what was it called? While My Guitar Gently Weeps.
He was a great guitarist, Stephen. But for me, George is fucking better.
Yeah.
And it really wound me up to hear him going on about, it needs Eric. And I loved the fact that Lennon and Macca says at one point, no, it needs some George.
Yep.
Shut the fuck up about Eric Clapton.
It was a big moment, yeah.
You're a Beatle. He ain't a fucking Beatle. He's a guest, bitch. You're a Beatle. Get a fucking grip. You were a great guitarist. It winds me up, Steve.
Yeah.
Because you even hear guitar parts that George had written, and he hadn't even played them, and it sounds like fucking George.
Yeah.
So he's an incredible guitarist, and it pained me physically to hear some of the insecurities he had, because he was fucking an incredible.
I think they all did, John Lennon's voice. He didn't like his own voice.
Double tracking it. Which is ridiculous. You hear that Shuka Plum Fairy, the alternate take of A Day in the Life. It's fucking incredible, his voice. Unbelievable. Doesn't need double takes. No Reply, one of the best fucking Beatles songs of all time. John Lennon, no double tracking.
John, I'm so tired. That his voice in that is an amazing.
Happiness is a warm gun.
Yep.
The high shrilly moments at the end. You see the best
John,
of
there's
Lennon.
a bit where
you see a bit where they're arranging a McCartney moment, and he's trying Lennon out singing. He's like, I can't go that high.
Yeah.
And that's when I've got ultimate respect for Macca's fucking vocal range.
Yeah. John, there was a bit
incredible.
Yeah, there's a bit, I think it was near the end when we were talking about Macca's voice, where he was singing, it might have been I Got a Feeling. One of these years, that bit, just singing his heart out, I was like, wow, that was an amazing performance, you know, for just a
Stephen, a
rehearsal.
Another
basically.
moment it made me admire Macca was when Lennon says, I can't play the bass and sing at the same time. Macca picked that up. It wasn't his instrument originally. They needed it out of necessity.
Yeah.
And he's fucking mastered it completely.
Yeah, that's what the kind of guy is, though,
Can identify fucking songs just from the bass lines, and he's singing his heart out at the same time. That's how brilliant Macca is.
He can play the guitar upside down, so
he can play it. He does it at one point. He plays the fucking Harrison's beautiful brown wood. Fucking, I can't remember.
Gibson, is it?
The Elm. No, it's like the Elm fucking the Telecaster.
Oh right, yeah.
He plays that upside down at one point. It's a joke.
Yeah, that's right.
An absolute joke.
It's funny when you see the scratch plate on the other side at the top.
Stephen, he was the musician of the Beatles. I prefer Lennon's voice. I'm not going to lie. It's got a bit more anger, a bit more something about
honest,
it. Raw.
Yeah. Honest,
but he was the best musician by a country mile. He could play fucking everything.
Yeah.
To be fair, Stephen, that was another thing that surprised me, getting off on a tangent again. How multi-instrument some of them were. I didn't realise Harrison could play the piano. Basically, Ringo fucking really good in the piano.
I'll tell you who I was impressed with, Billy Preston playing that stylophone.
Jesus fuck.
He worked out the actual notes on that.
Stephen, that'll get us on to Billy Preston. A really important moment in this documentary when Billy comes in the doors and notice Harrison painted it.
No,
he went out and seeked him out. Seeked him out. I can't even speak. Seeked him out. He didn't, Stephen. He was fucking visiting the Beatles.
He was doing a relationship thing, wasn't he?
And he came in to say hi, and they're like, "This is the guy we need."
Yeah.
But when you know, on time and again, we need a piano player. We need a fifth member. It's either someone plays the piano and we have one guitar, or there's no piano.
Get George Martin. Yeah.
He comes. Yeah, exactly.
I don't think George Martin would want to do it at that
Steve,
point.
did he not play?
He did something. I can't remember what it was.
No,
he did. Yeah, but there was a bit in this. He was on the keyboards as well.
What was that one again?
In My Life. Yeah.
Oh, it's In My Life. You're right. Yeah, he played that.
Mike McCartney's there as well. Pretending he's playing the piano. He's not even got the lid opened. Did you see that?
Yeah.
He's a strange looking guy, isn't he? He's got
Steve, did you see the bit with the sort of sound guys came in when they left for their lunch?
I like that. Yeah, Glenn Johns was.
Yeah, he was on. They were all playing. Fucking weird seeing that.
Yeah, it's like some old bald guy on the drums.
Steve, they all played the drums, and Macca was fucking incredible on the drums. But Steve, when Billy came in, it was an important moment. That seemed to change the whole mood. I think Harrison said in the anthology they had to be on their best behaviour because he was there. I didn't get that at all.
They had to hide their bitchiness or something.
I didn't get that, Stephen. I thought his energy, his personality, he's a very vivacious, happy guy. He was dancing. What a fucking dancer he was. Immaculate dress sense. He came in and he just added that spark. And Stephen, you mentioned it. He's playing out the parts almost immediately that are on the fucking song.
Yep. John,
and you don't appreciate it.
Yeah, they were using his notes to tune their own instruments as well because they relied on him, you know. But
there's a moment where it's one of the songs. I don't know if it's "Don't Let Me Down." The piano part is the fucking song. I always thought it was Harrison's Telecaster, but it's the piano. And when you hear him coming in and adding it, you're like, that's it. That is fucking hit.
Yeah, you talk about pianos and keyboards as well, John. It was good to see that bit in For You Blue, where they put the newspaper underneath the piano to give it that sort of honky tonk piano style.
I love that. As you know, that's one of my favourite songs in the album. I was obsessed with the song.
Yep.
And we only seen snippets. George coming out. He comes out the other side of the Rolls Royce.
Yeah.
Lennon and Yoko going down. Macca walking up with his fucking immaculate Cromley.
Checking out the groupies.
Did
you see that? He was about to get in the door and then he took one last look.
Yeah, he was like, we know what he was all about, Steve. I've read the book. It's not me. It's not you, it's me. I'm a cunt. Stephen, seeing that little snippet of that of them walking in, not really having a sense of where it led to, you see him in his sort of slippers. You see a little snippets of it. You see that elongated, expanded out in this documentary. It was one of the standouts for me. Absolutely loved seeing that song getting buffed. And Steve, not many takes, maybe 3 takes.
I think so, yeah.
To get it done.
Yeah.
And just seeing Lennon with his fucking shotgun shell and them playing the slide, it was absolutely great. Again, if you're a Beatles fan, you can watch this if you're not a Beatles fan and get something from it. But if you're a Beatles fan, it's next level, man.
I think it's interesting as well, and I think it's important to mention, you know, that I think casual people get something out of this, and I think it was important for them to do that sort of little 15-minute introduction at the very beginning of their history.
Yeah.
You know, it's important. You know, we could skim by that and go, yeah, we know all this, we've seen it all before. But it was very interesting that Peter Jackson took it from the point of view that he wanted to introduce a new generation to the Beatles as well. And it's interesting as well, John, that we're getting, you know, 2 of them have sadly passed away now. Mac is
scares me, Steve.
You know, he's 80 next year, I think.
Yeah, it scares.
You know, Ringo's already 80, or 81 this year, just turned 81. You know, and I think we're not going to have these guys around for much longer. So it's very important, you know, that their memory lives on, their legacy lives on. It will anyway. They didn't need this film, but what I'm saying is this will introduce a lot of new people, and I think that little sort of history lesson at the very beginning will get people going, I want to see more of that as well. I'll go and see the anthology. It's very
Steve, that was
well done.
Probably why it was a smart idea to put it on Disney Plus as this sort of documentary instead of a one and done run in the theatres, because it will connect to a younger demographic who are perhaps on Disney Plus intrigued by it, click on it and you buff a new generation of fans. But Stephen, this band will live on forever, because as I says, no one has done it like them. There is no band had that consistency of great albums, releasing albums that are great, but just even the filler in the albums is fucking outstanding. I can name 3 bad songs from the Beatles across 10 years of work. Wild Honey Pie, which is probably
it's filler.
Marmite. There's another one I'm thinking of, Maxwell Silverhammer. I'm not a big fan of. But that one I
don't like. Run for Your Life.
Run for Your Life. Like that song. There's a couple, but in the main, all the songs are fucking brilliant. So that's why they'll live on, because they're the best. They simply are the best. Stephen, the creative tension as well. We'll get into Billy. I'll go back to Billy. Stephen, I think that was fucking hugely important. That moment when he comes in, as I says, he just makes it click. He's that extra man they needed, and it just brings the vibe up.
Yeah.
The vibe changes, the mood completely goes up, and then it bulls right in to the live show.
Yeah.
And he's just this sort of...
It's what they needed, John. They needed someone just to sort of gel everything together.
Bring everything together, Stephen, and stop some of the bickering over who the fuck played what. Stephen, did we ever find out who played that 5-string bass? Was that in those sessions?
That might have been Abbey Road, actually.
Yeah, because I think Len was on the bass, the 5-string bass, a hell of a lot. Stephen, that brings me on to my next bit. Speaking about the Billy Preston, I've says in this, the liberal leanings of the Beatles, they were always a very liberally I can't even speak, lent, I don't know, is that right? Liberally leaning band, that's what I'll say. Very conscientious of the world, of societal issues.
Yeah.
The civil rights issue, going over to the United States in the mid-60s.
Yeah, we saw that in the Ron Howard film, didn't we? Yeah.
Sorting out the segregation issues, saying, no, we want fucking people of colour in our shows, and they're sitting together with these white fucking folks, and fuck them if they're not happy, they'll not come to the show. Doing that in the middle of the civil rights era in the 60s, you see it again, Stephen. They're quoting Martin Luther King at, this afternoon I have a dream or something like that. They do it again when Billy comes in, he's like, fucking yes, man.
Lennon
you see those liberal roots?
Lennon and Billy Preston jam at one point using that speech.
Yeah, they do.
It's great. It's a great
Stephen,
scene.
this is what, just using little moments like that and they build something out of it. And look, Stephen, we've all spoke about the jam sessions, the little outtakes, and how, for me, they're fucking better than some of the actual songs out these days. You can take, like, try to think of Hydrophonically, what the fuck's that? Ain't She Sweet?
Yeah.
Instrumentally, it's fucking perfect.
Yeah.
They're fucking about in the singing. If they cleaned that singing up, that's a fucking hit song.
Exactly,
today.
John.
And that's them fucking about.
Well, you're talking about that, John, and we were that Grease Paint song as well. I can't remember the title of it.
The Cockney one,
I loved that. You know, it's better than some of the shite that's out just now.
It is,
and it was just a throwaway thing. It was McCartney just mucking about.
Commonwealth.
I
didn't know that song was called Commonwealth. I always used to hear that and thought it was like something else.
Is that the one? Yeah.
Commonwealth.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Commonwealth. Enoch Powell, Stephen, xenophobic bastard. He's wanting people from the Commonwealth out the country. He's wanting it to be all white again. This is a pressing issue even today with Brexit and all these
it's
fuckers.
Went full circle, John.
It's went full circle. Stephen, you see the liberal leanings of the Beatles again. They're calling it out. Get Back's initially about Enoch Powell and the whole Commonwealth issue. You see them want to fight it.
Yeah.
So I love to see that. They were the sort of forefathers of social
Tommy
justice.
Robinson, isn't it?
Yeah. They were the forefathers of social justice, Stephen. So see when these people say, oh, you're a little snowflake, fuck off, I'm on the side of the Beatles, and I actually says that watching it. If you're on the side and you believe what the Beatles believe, you're on the right side of fucking history. These alt-right bitches can go and swing off man nuts. That's what they can do.
John, you got a few of them down on the street, down in Savile Row. Yeah, I thought that was amazing, those interviews.
Oh, yeah.
And you're getting the sort of perspective from the younger generation, so they're all going, oh, I love them, I love the Beatles.
Some of the older ones as well.
That old guy, he was
the
good.
old guy,
There's a young guy as well, him with the blondie ginger hair. It's got like that, bloody ridiculous time to have a concert. And then, do you not like the Beatles? Nah,
they've changed.
Yeah, whatever. You're one of the ones that didn't like Dylan changing to electric.
Yeah,
you can tell right away.
God, from folk.
Where are you now, mate?
Because he has to stay in folk his entire life.
Maybe it was a young Boris Johnson.
Probably, yeah.
Looked like him.
Yeah, probably was. Or an offshoot of fucking Donald Trump. I'm sure he was hanging about at that point. Stephen, well, I can understand those people, to be fair, because they were working. It was business hours. It was a financial district, wasn't it? A lot of accounts and stuff, accounting places. So it probably was a little bit fucking ridiculous for them. What are they doing?
They got the guy in with the pipe, John, on the roof. I'm glad.
God, wasn't that epic?
It puts me in mind of your grandfather.
Oh,
it
fuck.
Really does.
Climbing up the fucking ladders on the roof with a pipe in his mouth.
Yep.
Unbelievable. Nothing summed up. Stephen, I've always says, you take away some of the fashion in the cars. This could be today. It could be today.
Yeah.
As soon as you see the cars, you see the fashion. You
John,
see guys
Savile
like that.
not changed.
No,
not
it hasn't
changed at all.
But you see a guy like that, you're like, yeah, that's the 60s.
Yeah.
He's got a pipe in. He's walking up the ladders. You see the bootcut flared jeans. It's the 60s. You see the cars. It's the 60s. Stephen, I think it's a testament to how good they've done with the actual technical stuff, cleaning it up. That it could be yesterday.
Yep.
Also, you get vestiges of Technicolor in there and stuff like that, and there's some issues with focusing, but Stephen, they've done a remarkable fucking job with the technical side of this, cleaning it up. It's no surprise if you can clean up 100+ fucking World War One footage and make it look very good.
Bear in mind as well, this was shot for television as well.
It was shot for television.
Obviously the size, the scale,
the ratio,
the ratio. That's the word.
The ratio. I can never say that word right. I always want to say ratio for some reason. Stephen, that takes us into the Rooftop concert.
Yeah.
Speaking about ratio, because clearly there was issues blowing it up. I don't know why, because they did it and then follows
John,
you.
I thought what they did was, I thought that was amazing. They seen those different angles all pieced together.
But they used it to their advantage, not being able to fully size it up, because it gave them a chance to do little cutaways to different angles.
Fantastic,
people in the street.
Yep.
Maybe Ringo's doing something, George is doing something, Walsh saying, no, le visi gachi blue.
That was good, that bit, yeah.
It cuts to George and he's laughing his fucking head off.
Yeah.
You can use those multi-perspective shots. I thought that was absolutely brilliant. That was a really smart
How unsteady was the floorboards?
They were very unsteady. Stephen, I always used to hear it when I watched it on YouTube. Obviously, Marky comes out, he jumps on it, and it's doom, doom, doom. You can hear him tapping on it.
Yeah.
I think they put those floorboards in as a sort of a foundation on top of the roof because they were concerned about the roof getting in.
Yeah.
But it made it even more unsteady. I was scared for Ringo at one point, and George, they look over to see the crowd.
That's right.
I'm like, fucking get back.
I cannot get
back. I need to fucking die. Get back to where you once belong. Stephen, the Rooftop Concert was what I was looking forward to the most. I hadn't seen it. It disappeared off YouTube for a long time. The full concert was on YouTube, obviously in shite quality.
Yeah.
There's one gripe I've got.
The sound?
No, not the sound.
Sound down in the street?
The fucking street. I think it's Don't Let Me Down, I'm in love for the first time, and it cuts to the street. You see people walking across the road and stuff like that. You can hear the drums echoing, you can hear them singing. It gives you an idea of what it sounded like on the street. You get it in spits and spats, but they never had that scene, and it fucking winds me up. Is it on the anthology, is it?
It's on
I fucking love that sound.
I think it's
absolutely
on
love that shot. You can hear it echoing, you can hear the drums loud as hell.
Yeah.
And it gives you an idea of what the common man in the street was hearing. It's not there. That's my one gripe.
John, 30 complaints in under a minute.
Fuck them. Fuck them. See that little fucking bitch that came in that cop arm? Like, you fuck off. You're a young thing.
Even get this.
Oh, it was ridiculous, Stephen. He was just butthurt.
It kept.
Yeah.
Do you know who put in my mind? Douglas Ross.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. The leader of the Scottish Conservatives and a shite linesman.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it was like. A really discontented little prick.
Yeah.
But Stephen, I just get the sense they wanted to get up to the roof and see them.
Yeah.
And they did get up to the roof. And when that moment happens and Macca turns around and looks, I think it gives a woo.
Yeah.
And it just gives
John,
them that
I was
energy.
very surprised. It was the only one.
I think Lennon does it as well.
I don't
he does
know.
a woo as well.
At one point when Mal turns off the amps or he's about to,
Lennon
Lennon looks like he shot his pants at first when he saw the police. Macca just didn't care. He's like,
Steve, see when Lennon does that little thing when they switch the amp off, Jaws puts it back on, it's and he does it.
Yeah, he comes back in.
See that little fucking bit of improvisation. Absolutely amazing. Seeing the Rooftop Concert was absolutely brilliant, Stephen. Seeing the multi-perspective, seeing some interviews I hadn't seen before.
Yeah, same here.
And just the interactions and the reception.
John, I loved the
delay.
The camera picks up McCartney coming out the doorway onto the roof, and the wind's just blowing through his hair.
So cold.
They looked freezing. You saw Lennon, he was like, his hands.
Stephen, the Casino is a very hard guitar to play at the best of times, and Lennon's was slightly different to mine. It was a harsher angle.
John as well, so because of the picture quality, you actually got to see a bit of the grain in his guitar, because that was a sandy down one, wasn't
unbelievable.
It?
He sanded it down to get the sunburst, the same as obviously Mac.
But you could see that, you could see some of the sort of way it's been rubbed.
Stephen,
on
it
his
was
guitar.
Fucking murder to play. But see, when it was cold like that outside, man, it'd have been killing him. And he says at one point, he's crippling my hands, this guitar.
He can't play chords,
and the chords he's playing are big fucking stretchy chords. He's playing in, like, I've got a feeling and stuff like that. It'd have been crippling for him. But Stephen, that concert was absolutely amazing. It was brilliantly captured. It was a different light. They could have just done it like they did in Anthology. We get little snippets of the full songs. To do that with a multi-perspective, I thought that was very intelligent. It gives us a different angle. Stephen, we can really only talk about a couple of other things. I like the cultural references. The old school digestive biscuits, full of fat, full of sugar. None of this fucking nanny state pish. Oh, you're going to get fat if you eat them, so we'll reduce the sugar so you don't get fat.
Just don't eat them.
That's your fucking problem, cunt.
Don't
eat it if you don't want to get fat.
A political broadcast here, but if you notice, the supersized meals have reappeared at McDonald's now that Brexit's in full flow, because we're going like America now. We're just eating our way to oblivion, but you're absolutely right. I mean, don't eat it. Don't eat it full fat milk.
They've took all the sugar, they've took the fucking fat out of the digestive biscuits. Back then they'd have been proper, and you see George with a plate.
Chocolate would have been proper as well.
Oh my God, Stephen, it would have been fucking amazing. You see the old school Coke bottles, you see the Benson and Hedges cigarettes, the toast and marmalade, the Marmite sandwiches. There's so much going on. The spearmint chews, a little insight into the past, 50 years ago, all of the little cultural things.
See any toast and beans kicking about?
Oh, Stephen, that's surprising, because we see what is it, Dirty Mac? Lennon goes off with obviously Keith Richards, I think it's Jagger, your man from the Jimi Hendrix Experience, the drummer, Scottish guy, ginger guy, what a fucking drummer. Was he ginger? Am I thinking about Cream?
Yeah, Cream.
The Cream drummer.
I think it was Hendrix' drummer though.
Yeah, but yeah, it was. Yeah, he was Scottish. Yeah, wasn't he? What a drummer. Well, he's eating a plate of fucking beans and that, isn't he? Him and Jagger are eating a plate of beans. Yeah. Druggies, fucking eating the beans.
Denim jacket on.
Denim jacket. I'm surprised you didn't.
He has that denim jacket on at the end, doesn't he?
He does. Yeah. Stephen, but they were fucking immaculate. We'll get into that as well. That's another thing. Some of the get-ups, some of the get-ups are really bad, and some of them are really good.
Georgie's sort of frilly shirt thing with the pinky stripy trouser thing and the boots he's wearing.
The slippers there to me so comfortable though, Steve.
They would have been comfortable.
That's comfort over fucking look all day long. George's black fur coat. There was actually someone at the football in front of me had a coat on similar. I'm like, that's fucking George.
The one he wore on the roof?
The one he wore on the roof.
I think that was Patty Harris.
Yeah, I can imagine, Stephen. Obviously, Lennon famously wearing Cynthia's
Yoko's.
No, but I think it was Cynthia's. I think he took it. Cynthia had divorced and he took the coat. But it's clearly too small for him, Stephen.
She get Julian, he get the coat.
It's coming up to an air on him on the sleeves. It's clearly meant to be knee length and it's coming to his hips.
Yeah.
He's for a bigger.
It suits him though.
Yeah, it does suit him.
Yeah, it's iconic now.
And he's wearing obviously the zipper. I've never seen a zipper back in those days. He was wearing like a black zipper. It was I thought of Charlton Heston right away. I don't know why, but that was the 70s. Some of the get-ups are good. Some of them are really bad. Glenn John's got some great stuff. The leather jackets and stuff like that. Some great sunglasses and things going on. My one take from this is, and I said it to you a couple of days ago, Ringo's the best dressed Beatle.
Yeah.
And obviously Macca, close second.
Yeah.
Macca's Crombies, his suits, his sort of grandad shirts, the vests. But Ringo's green suit, Stephen, it shouldn't work.
No,
green should never look good on a person unless it's a Celtic top. But he fucking makes it work. And then on me, of course, I'm wearing green today and it looks alright. But he looked fucking incredible with that lime green suited and booted sort of outfit. I don't think he had green shoes on, sadly. Even the PVC red jacket looked better.
Yeah.
In this documentary,
it was a windbreaker at least.
It was a windbreaker. Yeah. He looked fucking brilliant, Ringo. That's what I'm saying. Some of his get-ups terrible. Some of them, and most of them, pretty fucking good. Sleepy Ringo. We've got Sleepy Joe over in the States because we've got Joe Biden. People think he's got dementia. He hasn't. In charge. Sleepy Ringo. A lot of sleeping and farting from Ringo in this. Ringo just takes a back seat at the bickering.
Like a cat, yeah.
And you've got the masking people. Who's your favourite Beatle? Ringo. I can understand it, Stephen, because he's
above
all that shit.
Octopus's Garden, though, didn't they?
Stephen, Octopus's Garden was fucking great.
But I do like watching
Absolutely great, by the way. Because that brings him together as well. When Ringo strikes gold with a song, they're like, oh fuck, that's pretty good. George goes out, I think
the two Georges looking at each other and laughing. That was a good
But George is adding little bits in. Do this, he's working out the chord arrangements because he's only got a basic little tune. He extends it right away. He's like, right, we do this, and you can hear it in the song.
And then he brings it round full
circle. And then I think Macca goes on the drums and starts playing the drums. I'm like, oh, it's coming together. That's fucking good. Was it Lennon goes on the drums?
Because Macca's in last, isn't he?
Yeah, he comes in last, that's right. He's like, right, back to Let It Be, bitches. But it was great seeing that. Stephen, Let It Be as well. Long Winding Road. I fucking hate the Long and Winding Road. I'm not going to lie. It's a fucking... It's dour for me. It's boring. I can never get through it. Yeah. It's a great song. I'm not denying it. Yeah. But listening to them putting these great songs together was fucking great.
John, I've got to... I prefer the Phil Spector versions. I do prefer Let It Be, Phil Spector and The Long Winding Road.
I love Let It Be. I do.
It just brings them to life. I get what they were trying to do. They were trying to make it basic tracks. You know, that was McCartney's vision. But there's something about those tracks being, I think they were called reproduced, weren't they, by Phil Spector, that I do like. You know, it's not everyone's cup of tea, but horses for
string arrangements and
horses for courses.
Yeah, horses for courses. Steve, just seeing the working of the songs was absolutely brilliant. If we get anything else to say here, if we get any other points I want to touch, Harrison leaving the group, we never spoke about that moment. It was building. Yeah, you could see it. He was getting more and more pissed off. He's like, I'm fucking sick of this. I can't go through another take of Maxwell Silver Hammer. I'll see you around the clubs. And Lennon saying if he doesn't come back by Tuesday, we'll get Clapton in. Yeah. I thought that was throwaway.
Yeah,
I don't think Lennon would ever continue without George. I think he actually was quite taken aback that
John
he left.
Lennon changed his sort of mood for part 2 because of George. We saw the John Lennon we like.
Yeah.
I think he had to raise the spirits. He had to do that in the early days. Yeah. Where we're going, fellas. He's doing it again. He's doing it a different way, but he's doing it again.
And Stephen, it worked because at the end you do see George is integrated again. He's having a laugh. He's enjoying his playing. He's laughing at Lennon overdubbing Let It Be. Not obviously singing, but he's like doing all of that and taking the piss. There's some great moments. I thought that was a good... they handled that pretty well. As we obviously said at the start, Macca wasn't the villain. You can understand Macca's fucking reasoning. He's just trying to get his songs played. Stephen, we never spoke about that either. The creative tension between Macca and Harrison, the different ideas of jamming and making these great songs. Obviously, Harrison was more laid back. He just wanted to jam until it came together a bit. And when I say jam, I don't mean jam and toast or jello, because you call jello in the States if you're watching from there. Jam, that's fucking wrong.
Yep.
he just wanted to let it come naturally, whereas McCartney had a different way of doing it. He wanted to lay down the foundations, the chord sequences, structure.
Yeah.
Then you can add in the lead parts and stuff. I think that's why Harrison was so annoyed as well in this. He's the lead guitarist. That's usually the final bit. You put the song together, the lyrics, you compose the structure, then the lead comes in. He was always the last to put it in.
I don't think McCartney's intention was to piss anyone off. He had a vision in his head. He wanted it a certain way. He did it with the drums as well. I saw Ringo's expression at one point when he was trying to advise him how to do a drum bit.
But Stephen, you can hear it. You can hear it in the final song. What he's saying. You can hear, right, do this. Do it light and put apart and stuff like that. You can hear what he's trying to get across.
It's difficult for anyone that's that's the composer of the song and they've got a certain way they want it done. And when you've got three other
with their own ideas,
talented musicians and big personalities, it's a very hard thing to sort of get across.
And at that point, they've not got the hindsight that we've got how good the song is.
Yeah, exactly. It's easy for us to go, no, fucking listen to him because we know what it's like. It's good.
They didn't know at that point. They were putting it together. Now in hindsight, you
he's
can go back
just
and say,
fucking bossy.
He's fucking right. What he's saying's right. Listen to him. You're going to get something special from it.
Yeah.
See, I think that's rounding it up now. I don't think there's much else to talk about. We'll get right into final thoughts then.
I think so, John. Yeah.
Shall you? Do you want me to go
John,
first?
I'll go first. It's very brief because I think my final thoughts are really just what we've been talking about for the past hour. I think this documentary, as I said at the start, I was concerned about how they were going to paint this picture. Now, I'm not saying this is the definitive version of events either, but it's a different perspective we're getting to see. We're getting to see things we've never seen before. We're getting to hear different takes we've not seen before. We're getting to see full versions of these scenes that we only saw briefly in the original movie. Painting the bigger picture. You talk about the bickering between George Harrison and Paul McCartney about I'll play what you want to play, whatever it is, just I'll play it or whatever.
I'll not play at all if you'd like.
I'll whatever pleases you, I'll play. We're getting to see the fuller picture. I was very sympathetic towards Paul McCartney because Peter Jackson allowed us to see how well that went right afterwards. Never got to see that before. And I think Yoko Ono as well has painted a better picture in this.
Yeah, Cynthia is better looking than I thought, I tell you. Not Cynthia, I'm playing
Linda,
better looking than I thought, I tell you.
A nice lady.
Peter Jackson really done fucking wonders for Linda in this, I tell you. He's used some good shots.
Yeah, I thought she was really nice.
She was.
But Yoko was nice as well. She was very respectful of the band getting together and doing what they had to do. Didn't interfere like we kind of see in the solo Lennon career where she's pitching in quite a bit, but in that moment she was fine. She definitely wasn't the reason for them breaking up. Certainly not for that. The singing.
Stephen, that's avant-garde shit though.
Yeah, I know. And Paul McCartney was into it as well. I think he was the one that was first into the avant-garde stuff before Lennon. But that's another conversation, John. But I thoroughly enjoyed it. I really got a lot out of it, and I thought, I really wanted to see this in the cinema as a 2.5, 3 hour film. I'm glad they kind of didn't do that now because we got to see much more. Well, I don't know, John. I don't know what all the stars, Noel Gallagher and all that got to see. Surely they weren't sitting in a cinema for 6.5 hours. No. They must have seen some.
Did they see it? Did they see it?
They went to a premiere, so I don't know what they got to see.
Condensed version,
probably, John. But I think for big Beatles fans like ourselves, it was an indulgent 6.5 hours. It was something that I don't know casual fans will get a lot out of, to be honest with you, because there was a lot of moments in there that were kind of elongated, probably overstayed their welcome. Not for us, we want more. We're just greedy. I want the other 50, 100 odd hours or whatever it is.
I'd watch it all.
Yeah, give me episode 96 of this documentary. I would do that. I would sit there and do it every bloody night if it came to that, but we're not going to get that.
No,
but
sadly not.
I got everything out of it, John. I'm not going to say that it's changed my mind on a lot of things, but it definitely has changed my mind on the sort of outlook of those four guys and where they were at in 1969. Absolutely. And a better picture, a better sort of situation they were in, rather than the picture that we get painted with the Michael Lindsay Hogg version, back in 1970. It's something I'm going to get back to. There's a lot of information in there.
Yeah,
we crammed it into 3 nights, John. It's something that you just can't take everything.
Just because I had to watch it. Plain and simple, I had to do it.
It's something, and you said the first 20 minutes went in like that, John.
They did.
And I got that same experience. That's when you're enjoying something. It was so informative. I'm so glad that, Paul McCartney, Ringo Starr, the estates of John Lennon and George Harrison allowed Peter Jackson to have free rein, in the footage. that was been lying in vaults for 50 odd years. It's unbelievable.
52 years,
what he did technically as well was an absolute miracle.
Yeah.
When you think about it, a bit of fuzziness, out of focus moments in there, John.
Expect that though. It's not. They've not got the technical wizardry that we do now.
And we've talked about the ratio as well, so that had a lot to do with it as well. Soundscape, the sound was absolutely phenomenal.
Real,
from the music to the audio conversations, everything about it was just neat, just perfect. I can see why McCartney likes this. You know, he's a kind of guy that likes everything neat and perfect all the time, and Peter Jackson's the sort of directorial version of a Paul McCartney.
Steve, what you rating it?
I'm rating this an A, John.
Oh, fucking look at that graphic again, moving.
Hey.
Dear oh dear. Stephen is rating it an A. And I can give you a spoiler, so am I, but I'll go to me and I'll round it before. Stephen, I can't really add much more to what you've added, really. You've hit the ball out the park there with my thoughts as well. All I can say is that I have had conversations with non-Beatles fans over this and their interactions with it, and they have said it's a bit bloated. The middle part in particular is a bit bloated. It's a little bit too long. For me, I didn't get that at all. Much like you, I have actually sat and listened to audio-only tracks from these sessions for hours on end, listening to the conversations, not getting any visuals to put to it. So for me, Stephen, this was a visual fucking treat. It was an absolute gold for me. What Peter Jackson and his team, I can't remember the name of that teime, incidentally, the production company, Wingnut, what they managed to do, going through painstakingly assembling all of these audio footages, if that's even right, the footage and the audio, bring them together, assembling them, that's what I meant to say, was absolutely fucking, it would have been painstaking, but a very worthwhile experience, because for Beatles fans like us, to sit and watch that, I could have sat and watched it for another 3 hours, Stephen. I was to the point where when I seen it was nearly 3 hours long, the second part, I did a little internal fucking shout of joy. I'm like, yes. And I was worrying for the third part, how long is it going to be? When I seen that was 2 hours 15 minutes again, I was fucking delighted. I couldn't get enough of it. Just seeing all the little peripheral figures, the likes of Gun Johns, Mal Evans and his full fucking force doing all of his dog body, what if you like, but he was more than that, he was a cool guy. Seeing all of that, seeing the way they were bringing all of these great songs together was fucking magic, as I says. As a Beatles fan, it's one of my favourite things I've ever watched connected to the Beatles, so I can't really give higher praise to Peter Jackson than that. It's not quite as good as the Anthology, because we've actually got the Beatles, 3 of them anyway, and John posthumously, giving us a bit by bit, blow by blow chart through their actual career, but it's a close second for me. Technically fucking unsurpassed what they're doing, taking this footage, unsurpassed, man. They shall not grow old now. They're wizards in New Zealand, absolute fucking wizards. Take a fucking bow, Peter, that's what I'm going to say. That's an A for me. Take a fucking bow. You have done magic there, mate. Genuine fucking magic. That is wizardry, what you've done there. I loved it, and I'll watch it again. It's got supreme rewatchability. Stephen, I'll sit and watch this on a loop.
John, I did that with Anthology in the 90s. Constantly watched it every weekend. Was obsessed.
Stephen, it's your favourite band, man, and they are my favourite band. No band comes close.
John, I've seen the 4 of them in a different light now. I really am.
Stephen never even says that. You're absolutely right, man. It paints a picture. It probably isn't the actual true picture as well, but it's an alternative look at it.
Getting another angle,
and I think it's closer to the truth. I think there was bickering, and they, to be fair, they don't whitewash it. They show the bickering in its full glory. They show the discontentment. They show the sort of bitchiness, but they show the other side as well that was never seen. So there was balance. And look, the likes of George, the likes of Ringo have come out in the past and says it wasn't like that. There was some happy moments, and you see it. They're hugging each other, they're dancing, they're getting fucking on, and then they're not getting on. I think they've done a good job of balancing it, so can't do better than that for me. I'm sorry, but that's going to round it up. Unless Steve's got anything to say.
No, I'm done.
That was one of the worst transitions ever. Can't do better than that, but that's going to round it up. But it is going to round it up, Stephen. It's been a long one. I would want to see over an hour.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
It could have been another hour, because that's us condensing my thoughts.
Yeah.
I can't condense my thoughts with the Beatles. Yeah. I could speak about the fucking
John, I understand
album.
why a lot of YouTube channels have done it in parts. They've done part 1, 2 and 3, but
absolutely.
I had to binge watch this. I had to.
Fuck them. Fuck what they're doing.
Plus, we've got a lot in the vault that we have to get.
We have, we've got 3 fucking
it's better
episodes.
To keep it one episode of this
we've
live.
Got 3 episodes getting out, Stephen. I'm going to be editing my name finale later on.
Oh, can't wait.
Not even done it yet.
Yeah.
Just put it together. Talking about foundation cuts, it's been put together, but it'll be edited. And then we'll do my new show that is yet to be revealed.
Yeah, we'll not say anything about that yet.
We've not say anything yet. That's going to round it up, man. You can share your thoughts down below if you get any enjoyment out of it. What was your enjoyment you got out of it? What did you take from it? Period. What was your thoughts now? Review, I was about to say reaction. You can comment below if you've got anything to say. and put them down below in the comment section. You can also like the video if you've enjoyed it, dislike it if you've hated it. We don't really give a fuck either way. It draws views to our channel. And you can subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon to get notifications straight to your eyeballs for more stuff like this in the future. Hit the follow button over on Twitch. We're on over there. Long last. It's been a while. Regardless of what you do though, thank you very much for watching. Me and Stephen are done. This might not work. Bye bye. It did work.
Woohoo.
Thank God. The long and winding road.
I hope we passed the audition.
It's been a long Saturday morning, greeting everybody with a smile.